when you have one dog pushing your other dog out of the way every single time that dog comes close to you, we can talk about jealousy. And this is our topic for today's episode of A Dog Soul, an empath's guide to your dog's feelings. So stay tuned and have fun. Alright, so there has been a long discussion if jealousy is something dogs feel or not, or if it's just a very human emotion that we just put on our dogs and it's not a real thing. Now, if we look at what jealousy really is, we are looking at resource guarding. Jealousy is getting angry when we are afraid to lose a person that is very important to us, right? So we are resource guarding the person. And that is something that dogs do as well, right? Dogs can resource guard stuff and they can resource guard us. And they can show jealousy when it comes to the caregiver, the favorite human, another dog, another animal, like a cat or a rabbit or whatever they befriended. Like dogs are really good at befriending other species, right? And they can get a little bit possessive of those individuals. So I will tell you about Kalumi, my little girl, and her jealousy. And also, in the end, we're going to talk about how training looked like. For Kalumi, she came to us with kind of no future. Like her previous foster mom said that she would never work on a leash, she would never be able to wear a harness, and she didn't have much hope that she would get adopted out. So when we took her in, we didn't have any expectations. She was really good with Sammy, and Sammy actually picked her. So we decided that whenever we get a next dog to stay with us forever, we let Sammy choose, because his first companion was kind of a good fit, but he wouldn't have chosen him. So this time he did. And he liked her and she liked him, and she was really young, and we handled the thing with the harness. So there is another episode on that already. So if you want to check that out, go to the channel and watch the episode or listen to the episode. But soon after she moved in, we saw something that none of our other dogs ever showed before. And that was her always trying to get in between Sammy and me. And she did the same thing with the cats. So whenever a cat approached me, she would get very anxious. She would run up and try to get between us. And sometimes with one cat, she tried to snap at her because she did not like that cat very much. And the other cat was okay because she liked him a lot. They were really close. They were best buddies. But sitting on me still made her a little bit anxious. And you know cats, right? They were very snuggly cats, so they like to sit on me and snuggle up and be there for hours. They were really adorable. So her trying to get in between or trying to hinder them from doing that was an issue. And of course, you don't want a dog snapping at a cat, right? It's really dangerous. And if the dog gets serious about that, that cat loses. So we had to start doing something. And the first thing was that Kalumi learned a really strong hand target. So she learned to put her nose to my hand and also follow that target around. So I could just get her from one spot to another with just my hand. And without shoving her or being any kind of rude to her, I was just asking her to do that, and she was happy to do it. That was the first step, because I could get distance in between her and the cats. Now, that did not change anything for Kalumi, right? Because she was afraid that she would not get the attention she needed. And to be honest, for such a young dog, who had gone through many hands, it's natural to become anxious when they feel like they are losing the caregiver to somebody else, right? If there is the slightest chance of somebody taking that person away, it's a crappy feeling, right? And it's the same thing for us humans as well, right? If we are scared to lose a person, whenever we are in a situation that feels remotely like that, we become anxious. And that's the same thing that happens to our dogs, or at least it looks like it. We can never know for sure, right? Because we cannot just ask them. But they are acting a lot like humans do. So we can assume that they are feeling the same thing. And because she did trust our male cat the most, she showed the least signs of resource guarding me from that male cat. And that's another thing, right? We can see her trusting that cat because she would just lie on her back and let him clean her. And he licked her head for like a really long time. And she just let him do that. And he loved it. So that was really adorable. But if she hadn't trusted him, she wouldn't have let him do that. With our other cat, it was very obvious that she did not trust her. And for good reason, because she was a cat who showed aggression toward the dogs when they moved in to protect herself. And she was relying on the aggression first. And even though we, of course, made sure that the dogs did not get hit, and she did not use her claws, so she would just hit them with her paw if she could. And of course, even though nothing ever happened, for a dog who just moved in and is a little bit sensitive at that moment because she was stressed, right? Kalumi was stressed when she moved in. She was really good at reading cats, and she could see that this cat would hit her. So that was enough for her to build distrust. So the research guarding toward me, or the jealousy, was most intense with that cat. It was not as intense with Sammy, and it was 0 to nothing with my partner. So that was really a relief, right? Because if your dog is trying to get you and your partner to stay away from each other, it's a little bit tricky. But it was tricky for Sammy as well, because he's not a dog who would try to get to the humans at all costs. He would just lay back and accept the situation like it was. So he would just accept that he could not go to his humans anymore. And of course, that is not something that increases the quality of life for Sammy. So we had to do something. And there was another different issue, or same issue, but at a different level. Kalumi distrusted strange humans. So whenever she saw a stranger on the street, she was very reactive from a big distance. So she would see the person and you could see her think about, shall I or shall I not, right? And she was reactive against vehicles and stuff like that. But humans were really a big deal for her. So of course, whenever a human approached me or tried to approach me, her fear of humans and her jealousy coupled up, and that was really bad. So we had to help her, right? And what we started with the other animals was a name game. And the name game is something that looks really simple. You just say a little sentence and then you name the pet you want to give a treat to. Like, this goes to Kalumi, this goes to Sammy, this goes to Spooky, and so on. And all the animals get the treats at a specific position. So they learn to keep their distance to each other and to be fine with resources being shared with other animals. And for resource guarders who cannot participate in this because it would be too close, there can be baby gates or doors or whatever. So this is a really nice start. And at home, of course, where it's the easiest, you would think, but it's actually not because it's very limited space and it's an area where the cats are already in snuggle mode. So we started in the garden and Kalumi learned very quickly. She was fine with treats being given to everybody else, and she had to receive more treats than the others in the beginning, which is very common for research garters or for dogs who play that game the first time. But she learned quickly. And then we moved it into the house, and she was fine there too. And then we started to switch the treats for pets. So the resource changed, right? At first, it was just treats, which was easy for her, but then it was attention from me, and that was more tricky. And of course, that took some time, so in between, we had to manage the situation on the sofa with the cats. And that was when the nose target came in, right? So her following my hand with her nose and touching it. And she would get rewarded with attention and pets and all these great things. So she learned that it was not bad for her if the cats approached me. She did not have a disadvantage from that at all. So she just had to keep her distance from the one cat and not be too excited around her, because that was something that triggered the cat. She did not like excitement very much. She was a comfort-loving old lady, so that was what she needed. And with the nose target, of course, we could keep Kalumi a little bit away from her, and especially when she was excited. So she was usually at arm's length from me. And that was perfect because I could still rub her belly, right? I could massage her into relaxation and into a little nap, and she would get all the attention she needed. And over time, she learned that even though there were other animals around, she would never have to compete for attention. Whenever she needed attention, she could just come up and get her attention. And yes, we needed to wean that a little bit because she was attention hungry like all the time. And she needed to be able to stay home alone without us, right? So she needed confidence, and she needed to learn that she was able to enjoy herself and the other dogs and the cats, and was not as dependent on us to make her feel good, right? That is something really important, or it was for her. And for Sammy, we needed to work with him as well, because he had to learn that he could come to us whenever he wanted, right? He didn't need to stay away because she was there. He could just come up, and we could pay attention to him as well. And I included some alone time with Sammy because he would not get into an argument with her about coming close to me, right? So he had his relaxation zone, and we did some alone time in the relaxation zone together, and we had a baby gate to keep her out. And whenever she was not able to come with me in there, she got something, a chewy or a food toy she could work with, or boxes or whatever. So she would not sit in front of the baby gate and get crazier and crazier and crazier and more anxious every minute. So she would just be fine and be able to again practice being fine on her own, right? As for the people we met on walks, and it was not that many, right? I mean, we were living in the woods, so there are not many people. But there are neighbors walking around, working in their gardens and things like that. So that was something that we needed to work on. And also people driving by, stopping, asking me stuff. That happened once in a while. So we worked on that, and her car reactivity, of course, as well. And she learned pretty quickly that whenever a person approached me, something great would happen for her. And that was a real game changer. She learned that really quickly, and she still doesn't love strangers, but she gets used to them pretty quickly. And if the people are nice to her or ignore her, And with nice to her, I don't mean, oh, what a cute doggy, come to me, but being very polite and letting her come to them. People who act like that are fine pretty quickly, and just strangers passing by aren't a big deal anyway. There are still some things that we have to work on, like Nordic walkers with the sticks. Those are a challenge. And people coming toward us very quickly with big things in their hand, like boxes or yard work tools or things like that. But I'm pretty sure that she will get comfortable with those things as well. She is really smart. She loves to work. And that is another reminder that we should never give up on our dogs, even if we get told that this dog will never be a normal dog or this dog will never whatever. We need to at least try it and have a second opinion and maybe a third and whatever. It depends on what the consequences of this decision might be. So to sum it up, yes, dogs definitely feel jealousy. We can see it and we can work on it. But if we have a dog or if we meet a dog who shows signs of jealousy, really think about if that dog is a good match for a multi-pet household. And today, I learned from my mistakes, right? And I love her, and I would never, if I could do it all over again, I would probably do it all over again, exactly the same way. But it was not a very smart decision for everybody involved. She would be a lot happier as a single dog in a one human household or a two human household. But she is happy with us, and Sammy did grow with that experience as well. So everything worked out fine. And with that, I wish you a lot of fun training, and we'll see each other next time. Bye!